podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, December 6th, 2020. This is episode 1752. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast comes to you from TWiT's LastPass studios. Securing every access point in your company does not have to be a challenge. LastPass unifies access and authentication to make securing your employees simple and secure, even when they're working remotely. Check out lastpass.com/twit to learn more. This episode of The Tech Guy is brought to you by Twilio. Strengthen your customer relationships by uniting communications across your entire business. Get everything you need to build and deliver a new customer experience with Twilio. Go to twilio.com to learn more. And by Melissa. Like expired milk, 30% of your customer data goes bad every year. That's money down the drain. Visit Melissa's developer portal for free access to data quality APIs, demos, and code samples. Freshen up your sour data today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. Oh, hi. Hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Snuck up on me. I was busy turning on all the lights in the studio and the Yule log and the can we put the Yule log back there? Because I love having that Yule log crackling away in the background, and then we got all the boughs of holly and there's a little mistletoe above me. So just be cognizant as you wander in. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you want to join the festivities. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still reach me, but you gotta use some sort of technological wizardry. You gotta use Skype out or something like that. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Website techguylabs.com. That's good to know because it's where we put, I don't do it, but James DeRuvo, our scribe, our official scribe, puts everything as I talk about it and so forth, and we mention websites and things, and he'll put them up there so you don't have to write anything down. That's nice. We like it when James does that. That's all there at techguylabs.com. And I mention it not because I'm trying to make some money off you, because it's free. We don't charge. It's just wide open. You just wander in. Pretty good search engine in there as well, which I recommend for anything you hear on the show. Don't bother. You don't have to write it down. Just relax. It's okay. It's okay. We'll write it down for you. We have a little chat room going on in the background all the time too. They've decorated that, I see, with festoons of pine and what are those, pine cones and jingle bells, and it's very, very, very pretty and festive in there. I smell the fresh pine, too. That's nice. Isn't that a nice... Oh, that's a nice scent. IRC, if you want to go there and visit, irc.twit.tv. That's all the ways... Oh, they're singing Christmas carols now. Isn't that sweet? I think Mike B passed out the eggnog. Or maybe Mike B just passed out. I don't know. But if you want to join us, irc.twit.tv. That's the address. There we go. All the business taken care of. All the I have to do this at the beginning of every show, just to let you know. So TikTok. TikTok. I think what happened, is that the administration has other fish to fry, and so they're just, because the deadline has come and gone on TikTok. It's over. TikTok was supposed to get out of Dodge, and a judge said, no, you can't do it. And then the CFIUS, which is the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., which is funny because TikTok is owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, but they're not really investing in U.S. companies. I mean, that's what CFIUS is supposed to be worried about, is other international companies like Chinese companies buying American assets. That's not exactly what's going on. But TikTok was supposed to go away, leave these shores. Then TikTok actually very cleverly, I think, went to the people who make money on TikTok, and there are, these influencers make a lot of money, some of them on TikTok, and they say, hey, why don't you sue? Because you've got standing, you're in the U.S., you make money on TikTok, and it worked. They went to court, and the Judge Beetlestone said, I just like saying that name, Judge Beetlestone, I can't say it 3 times though, she'll appear. Judge you-know-who said, no, wait a minute, that's putting people out of business, you can't. The White House ordered the sale of TikTok in August, the sale of the U.S. part of it in August. Microsoft got in the bidding, so did the big database company, Oracle. Oracle won with a little help from Walmart. Won, I guess, because there was no, agreement. Nothing really happened. They had till Friday, according to the White House, to sell, but nothing happened on Friday. It had been extended a couple of times. They haven't extended the deadline again, but apparently they're not going to take any action either because they want talks to continue. Okay, fine. The fear with TikTok, I guess, is that it would be spying on you. And, but every app on your phone spies on you. In fact, related story, turns out when the Supreme Court ordered law enforcement to get a warrant before they asked phone companies for your location, they said, no, you have to have a warrant for that. They didn't used to. There used to be, phone companies used to set up these websites. You want to know where Leo is? Just give us $1.50. I mean, it was that cheap. Give us $1.50. We'll tell you where Leo was last night. That kind of thing. Supreme Court said, no, you can't do it. You got to get a warrant. You got to go to a judge and say that we got, probable cause, that kind of thing. Same thing they need to search. And so what did law enforcement do? Oh, they said, well, all right, well, we won't go to the phone companies. We'll just ask the apps. Because guess what? That Facebook app, that Instagram app, that Twitter app, all those apps you have on your phone, they also know where you were last night and what you were. They maybe even know better what you were doing. They know. And so they've been selling that. They've been actually collecting it and selling that to law enforcement. So if you're worried about the TikTok, maybe you should also be worried about Facebook. Oh, it's a U.S. company, so that's okay. Oh, all right, good. I'm glad to hear that. I don't actually think the Chinese government cares much where I was last night. I guess they would if you were a Chinese national or a diplomat, or maybe if you were military. And by the way, the Pentagon has banned TikTok, which is fair. Some U.S. companies have banned TikTok on employees' company phone. That's completely fair. No problem with that. But TikTok's pretty cool. TikTok's also, and I think people do some fun. It's very entertaining. It's very entertaining. So I'm not against TikTok, and I don't see any real reason to ban it, except it was political. I think it was political. Don't want to say that too loud. It was political. And politics have changed. So, okay, yeah, it was Friday, but what the hell? Go ahead. By the way, TikTok mostly is viewed by people in the ages of, I think it's 14 to 24 is the big group. And there's a story on Bloomberg Wealth, saying, do not get your financial education from TikTok. Well, duh. Apparently, there was one guy, Tommy Zippler, who posted a video. He has 1.6 million followers. The video has been viewed 500,000 times, saying, here's how you get rid of credit card debt. Just keep getting new credit cards and transferring the balance over. He said, it was a joke. I didn't think it. I know it's not possible. I also knew people would fall for it, and I think it would actually work. It just shows how easy it is to spread fake information on TikTok. Well, good. Thanks for proving that, Tommy Zippler. He's King Zippy on TikTok. Do not take your financial information, youngins, from anybody named King Zippy. But apparently, young people, this is what they consume in great quantities, and it is pretty entertaining. But don't get news from it. Don't get personal finance information or investing or stock tips or side hustles. Hashtags like Side Hustle, personal financing, investing, and stock tips have drawn millions of views, according to Bloomberg, in just a few months. Videos about how to become a millionaire by age 22. Hey, I'm interested. Or which credit card to get or how to open a brokerage account are very popular. 69% of TikTok users are between the ages of 13 and 24, and I guess not only do they have they're trying to learn, they're also maybe not the best. We got to teach our kids. We got to teach the young people how to judge information. If I tell it to you, it's good. If you see it from Tommy Zippler on TikTok, maybe consider the source. I don't know. See, that's me saying that, though, right? You know. TikTok downloads have surged during the pandemic. I'm looking at numbers from Sensor Tower, which measures app usage. Number one app growth in the first half of the year, of course, Zoom, 57 million downloads. Number two, TikTok, 23 million downloads. Then Google Meet, House Party, Microsoft Teams. Slack's probably on there somewhere, way down. You saw Slack just sold to Salesforce. Slack's a business messaging program. Sold to Salesforce. $27+ billion. But it's not even on that list. It was getting beat by Microsoft Teams, House Party, Google Meet, TikTok, and Zoom. Still worth $27 billion, so you got to wonder what TikTok and Zoom might be worth. 8888 Ask Leo, that's my phone number. I am ready to talk to you about anything going on in the world of tech. I like to start off with some of the latest tech news, but anything on your mind, I'd love to hear from you. 888-827-5536. We got a good theme. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer, our phone angel. I was afraid when we first started using that wonderful theme song from the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt that people would take that as a challenge to try to break you. But no, they don't do that.
It's not the people.
It's not the people that break you? It's the coworkers? Is that it?
No, it's not the coworkers.
No.
It's just life in general.
By the way, Kurt Cobain called. He wants his shirt back. Just teasing you. Flannel's good. I'm wearing a sweater.
Hey, it got cold.
Well, you should come in here. We put a fire in the fireplace and everything.
Beautiful.
Isn't that cozy?
But we literally went from 100 degrees one day to 50 degrees the next, and that's just the way California is.
And people in the plains states.
They're like, wah.
People in North Dakota are saying, "What? 50 degrees? That's summertime. What are you talking about?" What you talking about?
California wimps.
We are wimps. Our blood has thinned by living here in the left coast. Who should I start with here?
Well, I'm going to do this one just to say the name. Tim in Palatka, Florida. Palatka. Okay.
Even
though it says Daytona Beach on the caller ID, it's Palatka, Florida.
Well, I'm guessing Palatka is the big
Daytona
city,
Beach.
and Daytona Beach just a little suburb there. Let's find out. Hello, Tim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, Kim.
Yes, Leo, it is Palatka.
Palatka.
Palatka,
Palatka,
Florida. Yes, and we're about 30 miles away from St. Augustine, and the reason you get a Daytona Beach on my phone there is because when I was in Daytona Beach, that's when I got this Magic Jack. So that's what I'm using for my phone.
You should go on and tell them, because otherwise next time you call 911, they're going to Daytona Beach.
You know what? When I was setting it up with this new computer that I just got, I noticed that. So you're right.
Yeah. Always be
visually
careful.
Impaired,
yes, sir.
And I am in the process of working with a small LP, low-powered radio station here.
Oh, how fun.
And I'm the program director, music director, every other kind of director, and kind of a one-man band here.
Fun.
But for years, I have used Audacity for all of my recording tasks.
A wonderful program. Right? Yeah, free, open source and everything. Yeah.
Free and good. The only problem is lately, and I just installed the new one on this new computer. I just got the computer Friday.
Yeah.
And I just installed it. And it used to be when you would start a track, it would stop, and you stopped it after a recording, it would go to where you started on that track. Okay? In other words, it go right back to the beginning. And then if you wanted to record where you left off, you just hit the end key. Now it is not doing that. It is recording, one track, then the next track, and then another track, in a straight line. It lines them up from end to end. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that, how to make it go what it was doing before, because I was able to overdub with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Are you following me? I know I'm a techno neophyte, so
I am following you. Because you wanted to have a segue, so you'd have one song end, but before it's completely quiet, you'd have the other song beginning.
Right.
That's what DJs do, so that, you got to smooth, and we call those segues.
Segues, right?
Yep.
Of course, I've been in radio for like 30 years.
So you know that well.
But this Audacity thing is really gotten me in a bind here, because I can't multi-track anything or layer anything together.
Yeah, you can still. They obviously just changed the settings somewhere, because
I can't find anybody who knows where the checkbox is, to what setting it is to get that thing to behave like it used to.
I hate it when they do that. They change the UI, and of course, because you're blind, you can't easily figure out what they've done to it.
Right.
So you got the 2 tracks in there. I'm looking at the Audacity manual online. And each track has to be, by default, when you import 2 tracks, it creates 2 audio tracks, one above the other. Yours is doing that, right?
No, I'm not creating 2 tracks. This is all on the same track.
Oh, you want to crossfade on the same track?
Yeah, that's what it used to do, and now it won't.
So now what they say to do is, when you have it in the same track, you're going to split them. You're going to go to where the first one ends and the next one begins, and do a split, and then move that second song down into a second separate track, and then you can position the tracks as overlapping or as little as much as you want.
You can do that with a mouse. I can't do that with.
I understand. Yeah. So they were doing some sort of automatic crossfade.
It was just recording one track on top of the same track that you recorded.
When you were recording
it was overdub.
It was doing it as you were doing it. Boy, I don't know. So you aren't like playing it like a DJ would into Audacity. You just got the tracks.
I'm in production with it.
Yeah. So the tracks are digital already on your computer as you record them. How are you recording?
Well, off of an analog source. It doesn't make a difference. I mean, it
see.
Still records.
No, that's fine.
It still records.
So,
instead of
I'm just asking. Yeah, I'm just asking how you do it. I'm not complaining about how you do it. So you're recording from an analog source, and as you record, you play one song and then you play another song. But you're not overlapping them as you're playing them back. You're just playing them back individually. And then it used to see.
For example, say I have a vocal track going for a commercial. I used to be able to just stop it, go back, hit record again, and that vocal track would play, and then I just add the music on top of it. That's what I mean by overdub. It won't let you overdub anymore.
I don't know, because I don't use Audacity anymore. I've used it. I was looking at the manual. Maybe somebody in the chat room will be able to give us a quick and easy way to do it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, just off the top of my head, I can't really. I'm not really the user manual on Audacity. I used to use it. I mean, I recommend it to people all the time, but I just don't know. So he's playing it back. I'm surprised that it would overlap that originally. Our podcast today brought to you by Twilio. Oh, I love Twilio. Twilio is really cool because it gives you access to all the powers of the telecommunications system with just a couple of lines of code in your application. The world's changing fast. You want to build new ways to help your customers, to communicate with them, and that's exactly what Twilio does. Engage your customers on any channel they want, anywhere they want, from text messages to emails to phone calls to video and more, all in one simple, powerful platform. Twilio's big, man. It powers 795 billion plus interactions. That's amazing. Across channels with 5 nines of uptime, 99.999% uptime. They have over 3 billion phone numbers available across more than 100 countries. I don't think anybody's got Twilio's scale. But despite the scale, they're simple and easy for you to use, and that's what you want and your developers want. Customers love Twilio. Shopify, for instance, uses Twilio to run their entire global contact center. That's 1 million customers. It all runs on Twilio Flex. That's Twilio's programmable contact center solution. Blue Apron uses Twilio to power their newsletters. That's Twilio's SendGrid. Netflix keeps your online account secure with two-factor authentication from, you guessed it, Twilio. I use Twilio's Authy two-factor authenticator on all my devices. I love it. If you ever order food from Lyft or Uber or maybe a ride and you get that text that says your driver's on the way, you know who does that text? Yeah, Twilio. Twilio. Product and operations teams use Twilio to create new ways to communicate with their users inside their applications, ranging from account notifications with text messaging to chat bots to securing online accounts with two-factor authentication. Marketing teams use Twilio to get the word out, connecting with leads over text messaging and phone calls. They send campaigns over email. They build chat bots to answer questions. Customer service teams love that Twilio Flex, a fully programmable contact center application platform. The thing is, Twilio's built by developers for developers. They understand what your developers need. But you don't have to be a specialized telecom engineer to use it. In fact, if you're already, or your developers are already building web applications, they already know how to use Twilio. Just a couple of lines of code that can add text, call, chat, and video conferencing. It couldn't be easier or more affordable. Strengthen your customer relationships by uniting communications across your entire business. Go to Twilio.com to learn more today. That's Twilio. Twilio.com. Twilio. It's time to build. And now it's time to get back to the Tech Guy Show. It's time once again to go visit our car guy in his garage. It's Sam Abuelsamid. He has a nice Yule log burning in there too, I hear. Hello, Sam.
Hey, Leo. How are you this week?
Sam is, I am great, principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. He also has a great car podcast called Wheel Bearings at wheelbearings.media. And I'll be listening to the next week's episode because you'll be talking about my next car, my Mustang Mach-E, whenever it comes out. I'm excited. So I see you sitting in front of a Mustang Mach-E on your screen, and it's charging electrically. Sometimes you look at that real quickly, you think it's getting gas, but you couldn't put gas in that thing, I don't think, right? That would be a mistake.
There's nowhere to stick a nozzle into. I mean, I guess you could fill up the front trunk, but then it would just drain out. There's a drain hole in the bottom, so it would just drain right out the bottom. So, so you can put your wet stuff in there, and it'll drain out, so you don't get all moldy. But
this is what stops people from buying electric vehicles: is this concern about charging. If you live in an apartment building, that's reasonable. If you live in your own home, you probably can get one of those RV-style NEMA 50 plugs and plug into that and charge there. That's what I do. But the problem is then you get on the road and you got a couple 100 miles, 300 miles, and you got to find a charging station. There's gas stations everywhere. Are there charging stations everywhere?
There's more and more all the time. Currently, there's about 35,000 charging locations across the country. And that's total. That includes the level 2 chargers, which are the 240 volt chargers, which are typically about either 3.5 or 6.5 kilowatt power, and those take a few hours to charge your car. And then there's also about 3,000 locations with the level 3 chargers, which are the DC fast chargers, and those can range from about 50 kilowatts up to 350 kilowatt capacity. And the speed that your car will actually charge at depends on the system that's in the car. So like the Mach-E will charge at about 150 kilowatts. A Tesla and a supercharger on some of the newer version 3 superchargers, they'll charge at about 250 kilowatts. Porsche Taycan and some other cars that are coming to market soon will charge at 350 kilowatts.
But what does that mean real world? I mean, when I go to a gas station, 5 minutes later, I'm filled up and ready to go.
So the kilowatts, is when you're talking about charging, you can think of it kind of like electrons per minute as a way that it's how fast
you're filling up the tank with electrons. That makes sense. Yeah. But it takes a lot of electrons to fill up a tank.
It does. Yeah. On a 150 kilowatt charger, the Mustang Mach-E or an Audi e-tron, which have about a 95 kilowatt hour battery pack, they'll charge up from completely empty to full in about 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, so that's a big difference. I think that's another thing that stops people. It's like, what? I got to sit there for half an hour, 40 minutes and fill it up? What?
Yeah, well, just this week, Hyundai Motor Group made an announcement about their new EV platform that's going to be launching next year, starting with the Ioniq 5, and they're going to have 23 different battery EVs between now and 2025 that they're launching across the Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis brands. And it's also going to support 350 kilowatt charging. And they talked about at that rate, you can, in 5 minutes, you can add about 60 miles of charge. So that's another way that some car makers are expressing it, is how many miles per minute you can add and charge.
That's maybe battery. A little better understood, I think.
Yeah.
This is something Tesla, Elon Musk really understood with Tesla, is that people aren't going to buy the car unless we put charging stations everywhere. And that supercharger network really works. I mean, it's big, right?
Yeah, they've got about 900 locations now across the country, and I think about 8,000 charging points, supercharger points.
To give you an idea of how important that is, I didn't buy a Tesla until they had a supercharger in my town. Now, as it turned out, I didn't need it. I rarely used it, but that was the thing that put me over the top. It was like, okay, I have a gas station in town. I can buy a vehicle. But it turns out your home charging is kind of nice because you basically leave every morning with a full tank.
If you have a garage or a driveway where you can pull in and you can have a charger at home, that is by far and away the most convenient. A lot of people, if you live in an apartment though, or in a lot of cities, even if you have a single family home, you still have to rely on street parking, and then it becomes more challenging. And that's where we need to have more public charging infrastructure in place. And so, companies like ChargePoint and EVgo and Electrify America and Greenlots are installing more. Electrify America they just topped 500 locations now with over 2,000 chargers.
Oh, so they're getting competitive with the supercharger network.
Yeah, they definitely are. And so that's
charge you to use these, right? Obviously, they do.
Well, again, it depends. In general, yes, they charge you to use them. But like Tesla, a lot of automakers are doing deals with the various charging network providers. So when you buy an EV, you'll get a certain amount of free DC fast charging.
It's like getting free gas. That's awesome.
Yeah, the Volkswagen ID4 that's going to launch early in the new year. That's VW's first dedicated EV for North America. It's a compact crossover. You're going to get 3 years of free charging at Electrify America with that thing.
3 years? Wow.
3 years, yeah. The Mustang, you're not going to get quite that much. I think you get about 250 kilowatt hours of charging. But, it's good for, over the first couple of years.
It's funny because I have no idea, and this is part of the problem. I know what a gallon of gas is. I know what my MPG is. You'd give me 250 kilowatts of charge. I don't even know, is that a week, a month, a year? I don't even have any clue. Yeah. Right.
And that is a challenge.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's a challenge is today we've got a whole bunch of different charging networks, and if you want to be able to use any or all of them, you've got to have an account with each one.
Right.
And so you've got on your key ring, you're going to end up with a bunch of little NFC cards or different apps on your phone. You're going to tap on
there's no guy in a white suit with a cap going, "Fill her up, lady. It's all yours, man." You pull up to that gas. It looks like a gas pump. It's a charger. You got to plug it in, and then you sit there. A lot of times they build these near a mall or somewhere where you could go have lunch or, go see a movie or something. So there's usually something around there to do.
Right. And there's excuse me. There's a new standard that's now rolling out called Plug and Charge, which Electrify America is the first one to deploy it, but others are going to do it as well. And Ford and Volkswagen and Lucid and other car makers are implementing it in their vehicles. which means that when you get your vehicle, you'll set up an account on your vehicle one time with that.
So the car does the work. The car says, "Oh, it's me. I'm here, and I have a certain amount on account," and just charge it, fill her up.
Yep. And so in your Ford Pass app on your phone, you'll put your payment info in there, and then when you pull up to an EA station, you'll plug it in. The charger will communicate with your car, authenticate it, and it will automatically bill you.
Oh, that's cool.
You don't have to do anything else. You just plug it in. It's even easier than getting gas.
Is it expensive to charge a car? Is it cost as much as gas or less or more?
So it depends. If you're charging at home, it's a lot less.
Yeah.
The average price of electricity is about 13 cents a kilowatt hour, and it works out roughly to about a quarter to a third of the cost of driving on gasoline.
Yeah, we put up solar panels just for that purpose, so that it's
in your case it'd be even
free power. Yeah, but when you charge at one of these stations.
Yeah, at DC fast chargers, it's more expensive because the cost of the chargers and the demand charges for commercial electricity are higher, but it's still generally cheaper than paying for gas.
It's a really interesting subject, and as more and more of us turn to electric vehicles, I know it's not perfect for everybody. I love mine. We have a Chevy Bolt, too. I love it, and it just feels good. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, Sam.
Yep.
Guidehouse Insights, wheelbearings.media for that podcast. I'm excited to hear the Mach-E podcast. So what do you guys do? You just talk about it, or do you review it? Or?
Yeah, we talked about driving impressions, some of the stuff that...
Oh, so they got to drive it too?
No, they didn't. Only I did. Yeah, they asked me a bunch of questions, and
I can't wait.
We talked about kind of the whole design philosophy and some of the stuff I talked about with how Taitang, how originally came to prominence back in like 2004. He was the chief engineer on the 2004 Mustang or 2005 Mustang, which cool. The Mustang that you had before, How Taitang was the chief engineer on that car.
Oh, nice.
And he's since been promoted a few times, and he's now head of global product development.
So we meet again, How Taitang. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I should explain. Yesterday, I charged Professor Laura, our musical director, with finding unusual Christmas songs. And this is a good one. Bring Me a Man for Christmas, Santa. 88 Ask Leo is the phone number. David's on the line from Anaheim, our next caller. Hi, David.
Hey, all right.
Welcome to the show.
I have someone sane that I could ask these questions about electronics.
Sane, can't guarantee, but I'll do my best. Do my best.
Hey, I had been looking at home security systems and was discouraged by the monthly fees that they charge.
Yeah, usually it's around $45 a month. Yeah.
I know. And then I came across a product I think it's called Eufy, E-U-F-Y.
Oh, Eufy, yeah.
Eufy.
That's Anchor's product. Yeah.
Yes. I purchased it because they don't charge a monthly fee. Now, it does not have an SD card. So I've been using it for a few months, and I had a video that I wanted to send a friend, a security video, and it wouldn't allow me to do it unless I signed up to. They want access to my photos, to my camera, to my search engines, everything that I search, to my home data. I called the company, and I went back and forth with a woman saying, she said, well, we would never use any of that. And I said, well, then why do you require it?
So the video, I'm guessing, is stored in your photo gallery.
Yeah, and I
so in order for them to share it using their system, they have to have access to your photos. It doesn't explain why they need access to your search history, however. Was it just one pop-up, or was it a bunch of different pop-ups?
No, every time I try to send it, it says I can't send anything until I let them have access to my computer.
And you're not sending it from a smart device. This is from a computer.
It's from my iPad.
Oh yeah. Okay, so it is from iOS. Apple does that, by the way. This is Apple saying you have to, in order for anybody to share anything from your photos, you have to give them permission to access your photos. That's normal. You've seen it before 100 times, right?
Okay.
So that's just the way Apple does things. And unfortunately, with the iPad, there's no other place you can put a video but your photos, because that's just how iOS works. That's why I was surprised if it is from a computer, that would be different, because you could just have an uploadable file and they wouldn't need access to anything. But from an iOS or Android device, Google and Apple have set it up, and quite properly, that an application can access parts of your system without your permission. In this case, the photos are in the library. They have to access the library. They can't get to the picture. Now, you may not want to do that, and I understand, but in fact, that's why Apple puts that warning in. You have to explicitly.
Well, it's not from Apple. The warning is from Eufy.
Yeah, but it is from, trust me. When you say okay, it will then be a pop-up from iOS saying, because this is how it works. You've seen this before, right? When you try to share a picture from your photo album to Twitter, pops up a thing says Twitter needs access to your photo album. Right? Yes.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know.
Whatever, wherever you're sending it. Anytime you want to share a photo from your album using an app, in order for the app to access the album, it has to request permission. Now, I would be curious about other permissions. They shouldn't need, for instance, location. But this is what Apple does. There'll be a granular series of pop-ups. You may be seeing this as a preliminary warning from the Eufy saying, look, you're going to have to say yes. This is very common in apps. After you click OK to that, then Apple will jump in and say, okay, do you want to give Eufy access to this? You can say yes to your photo album, and you have to. If you ever want to share anything from your photo album, you have to give permission. That's the way it works. But you don't have to give them permission to other things, and if they ask for it, I would say no. That's just the way it works on iOS.
In front of me. It's either everything or nothing. You can't.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. I'm sorry, but you go back to it. The app may be popping up something that says you're going to have to give me this, 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 and this. Apple will be granular. Apple goes one by one through the permissions. This is really normal, and this is what you want. So if you were to use Facebook Messenger, you don't use Twitter, so you probably don't use Facebook, but if you were to use any WhatsApp, if you were to use any messaging service and you wanted to send somebody a picture, that app would then have to say, through Apple, and Apple will pop up a thing that says, WhatsApp wants permission to access your photos. That's how it works. So that's okay. It will split them up. So the first thing you're seeing may be Eufy saying, look, just to let you know, we're going to have to ask for a series of permissions here. Go ahead, say yes to that. Apple will then say albums. You may, if you want to share from your album, you're going to have to say yes to that. But if it asks for other things, you can quite reasonably say no. And if Eufy says, well, without those permissions, we can't do it, then you say, sorry, I don't want to do it. You won't be required to. You can even say yes to it now and then go into the settings on your iPad. If you go in settings and go to the Eufy app that you're using, you can turn those off after you send that. So you could turn it on for one time only and then turn it off. The things I would be careful about, photos, they have to. They cannot access that photo album, period. So they have to. But they shouldn't need location information unless that's part of what gets sent. It might be for a security camera. They shouldn't need access to other things. I would be very careful about contacts because it's not unusual for apps to say, hey, this is very common. Oh, we'd like to let you know when other friends of yours start using this app, all you have to do is share your contacts with us. And, while Apple's pretty good about protecting your privacy, once you upload your contacts to a service, they have them. And you're now giving up not only your own information, but information for everybody in your contact list, their phone number, their email, and all that stuff. So that's a reasonable thing to say no to. Now, if you're sending it from within the Eufy app, they might need access to your contacts just to get the email to send it to. So this is how mobile devices work. And this is a good thing. Both Google and Apple have started doing this on Android and iOS and iPadOS, as you can tell. Before they'll allow any app access to this information, they will pop up a permission asking you. And I should reiterate, you can do it one time only. You can say yes, send the thing, and then the weird thing is that these permissions are stored in the Apple Settings app on iOS, and there's you'll notice every app on your phone or your iPad has an entry in Settings at the bottom, And that's where you can control specifically the access available. And you could turn it off after you say yes to it. Now, Eufy is a Chinese company. It's Anker, A-N-K-E-R. That's who owns Eufy. So if you share the fear that the U.S. government apparently has of the Chinese, then you probably should say no, but you'll never be able to share photos out of your album. It'd be interesting if you I think what you could do, if you have a computer, is get it off your phone onto the computer, and then you can email it. So I'm assuming that the Eufy app would allow you to save the video or export that video to a computer. If you do that, then you won't need those permissions. It's absolutely not a part of desktop operating systems yet. Microsoft doesn't do it yet, but Apple is starting to do it. In fact, in Big Sur, a lot of times before you can even access a folder, Big Sur will say, "Do you want to let this program access your downloads?" Yes. This is because the world has become a dangerous place, and I don't blame these guys for doing it. It's appropriate for you to pay attention to these. I don't want us to get in the position where you go, okay. Yeah, go ahead. Pay attention. There's a reason it's popping up that request. Again, when Eufy says it, just say okay. That doesn't end the matter. It will then in a series pop up Apple requests. You have to tell Apple, not Eufy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, and 57,043 pounds of pasta and sauce. I got a note from the program director at our mothership, KFI. Every year for the last 10 years, they've done a Pastathon. It's a wonderful event that they do to raise money to help feed people. Boy, we need it more than ever during this year to help feed kids. Chef Bruno and his community make food for so many people, and it really is such a good cause. And I want to give them a big plug. So far, they've raised enough money for 57,043 pounds of pasta and sauce for the KFI Pastathon. It benefits a group called Katerina's Club. You can read more about it if you want, and donate if you want. I think that'd be good. I'm going to put in a little something. Maybe buy a few pounds of pasta at pastathon.com. Pastathon.com. Or if you shop at Smart and Final, they have stores in California, Arizona, and Nevada. If you smart there this weekend, you can add $10 at checkout. That provides 14 meals. It really goes a long way, and especially now during this holiday season, and it's been a very tough year for a lot of people. They call it food insecurity, which is such a antiseptic way of talking about just kids being hungry. It just, we got to do something about it, right? So here's a way to do that. Pastathon, Pastathon.com. Already the KFI listeners have raised close to $500,000. That's really, really, really cool. That is a community reaching out and doing something. Pastathon. 10 years in a row they've been doing that. So you can donate right on that page if you want. And thanks to White House Italian Steakhouse, to Smart and Final, to Barilla La Pasta, and Katerina's Club. And, of course, KFI and the great program director there, Robin Bertolucci. On we go with the show. Larry in San Francisco is next. Hi, Larry. Leo Laporte.
Hello, Leo.
Good to talk to you.
Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Long-time listener, semi-caller.
You've called before.
Yes.
Semi-caller.
That's what I can get through, and I have something to
say. All right, semi-caller. What can I do for you today?
Well, I'm one of those geeks that builds their own computer, and I just built a new one. Well, I had the old one sort of crash. I built a new one for gaming.
Fun.
And, yeah, well, it was when I finally got it working.
Uh-oh.
But my issue is I want to, instead of going through the whole reinstalling every piece of software from the beginning, I want to restore from backup. I use iDrive as my online backup, and I noticed that they offer two options. You can clone your entire computer or backup. And I want to know, I know I'm going to have to install Windows and reactivate Windows, then download the iDrive software and then use that to restore. But I want to know, what is the difference between a backup and a clone? Should I be using a clone, trying to make a clone for this?
Yes, but in general, I would say backup is what you want to use with any online backup service like iDrive, because you don't really want to spend your time and storage space backing up Windows and things like that. And that's what a clone does. A clone takes the drive and makes an image copy of it, backs the whole thing up. And that's useful for exactly what you were talking about, Larry. But I don't think it's a good match with cloud backup, because remember, it's not just the storage space. It has to be uploaded. And by the way, then downloaded again if you're going to use it. So I almost always say clones should be local.
Well, the iDrive offer, when you try to clone, it says
make them local
and online.
Yeah.
So you have to do both.
Yeah, I would just make it local, and you can do that certainly with the iDrive software. But there's lots of cloning software out there, and in fact, Windows even has cloning software built into it. You have to go to for some reason Microsoft puts it in the legacy backup. From Windows 7, because that's when it was. But as far as I know, I haven't tried it with the latest 20H2, but as far as I know, it still works to back up an image. So the image is everything. And that's the nice thing about having it. And that's why you want it local, because what you want to do is plug, a USB drive or a thumb drive into your computer, run whatever the little stub is, whether it's iDrive or Windows, and there's lots of programs that'll do this. I use a program called Drive Snapshot. There's a Drive Imager. There's lots of programs that do it. And then you'll have a little tiny program that you can run. I just put it on the thumb drive, run that, and then it will blast everything on the USB drive onto your hard drive, and you'll be back to exactly the point you were when you made that clone. It's like freeze drying your hard drive. It's not the best way to back up because you're backing up more than you want.
Okay, so then my next question is, I have 4 terabyte USB drive that I already have stuff on, but not 4 whole terabytes. I think I have like 1 or 2 terabytes, and to back up my whole system is going to be another 2. If I put this image on this USB drive, will it wipe out everything that's already there?
No, it's just a file. I don't know how, actually, the truth is, I don't know how iDrive does it, but generally, cloning programs for Windows, this is different on Mac, by the way. They will wipe out the drive, but on Windows, generally, these cloning programs just make a blob, and as long as there's enough room for the blob on that hard drive, you're golden. Probably, what is the internal hard drive that you're backing up? How big is that?
Well, I've done the calculation. It's actually it's going to be 2 terabytes. If I back up everything that I want to save,
right,
it's going to be 2 terabytes.
It may be less because it compresses as it goes, so it may be less. It will not be obviously any bigger than the total hard drive, and it's usually considerably less because people don't fill up their hard drives. So if you look at what the usage is on your hard drive, that you certainly want to have something that big, but chances are it'll still be less than that because of compression.
Excellent. So I can do, okay, all right.
Yeah, I would definitely make an image. And the reason you don't want to do it online is because it's too slow to download. You want to get back up and running. I keep images of all my systems. What I generally do is the minute when I set up a new system, I make an image immediately. Like I just got that new Mac, make an image. Then I install everything I want, make another image. And keep those 2 images local. They're, hard drive storage is cheap. That way, if you ever want to get up and running again, you don't have to go through the whole and install Windows, restore error, reinstall everything. It's ready to go. Just remember that the clone is only as up to date as your most recent cloning. That's why you use, in fact, iDrive, it's nice that they offer cloning because basically they go to hand in hand. You do the clone, keep it local, and then iDrive's been backing up everything that happened since the clone. And so then you restore from iDrive, and now you've got everything you did.
Right. I've been trying to run a backup, like a total system backup for iDrive, and it's been running for 3 days now, and it's only like 9-10% done.
Yeah, because it doesn't want to use all your bandwidth. And remember, people say, well, I have 100 megabits. That's the download. What's your upload? Usually it's a lot less, 10, 15, maybe 20 megabits. And they're not going to use it all, because if they did, you'd have no internet access. So they're judicious. It trickles it up. So that's why it's really not ideal for a clone. But it's nice that iDrive gives you that local. In fact, I'm looking at the iDrive disk backup FAQ, which I'll put a link in the show notes, or maybe you've already seen it, but it explains how to do the local clone. You can choose to clone a single disk or an entire machine. It's really nice that iDrive gives you all that. I think that's another reason to really, and they're our sponsor, but it's another reason to really like them, is most online backup companies just give you online backup. iDrive does local as well as online, and that's really nice. And this cloning too. It's really an all-in-one solution. Yeah. And you can, if you want, there's a scheduler. So if you want to keep your image up to date, you can have it periodically updated, which is great.
Yeah, I've been running that for the longest.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Not for the longest, but since I started using it.
Larry, thank you for using it on behalf of our sponsor. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, Leo.
Part-time callers are very useful. Very good. Thank you, Larry. Happy holidays. Take care.
You too.
Yeah, bye-bye. We'll have more with the tech guy in just a bit, but first a word from Melissa. What is that I smell? Is your contact data going bad? 30% of customer data goes bad every year. People move, phone numbers change, emails change. That's a problem. You don't want to be mailing stuff to the wrong address or calling the wrong phone number. That's what Melissa does. Melissa makes sure your data is accurate and current so you reach the right customers. Their tools have helped businesses maintain fresh data for the last 35 years. And, if you're sending catalogs or brochures or emails to the wrong addresses, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time. Worse, maybe duplicates to the same address. That's even worse. That's one of the reasons I love the dedupe features that Melissa offers. Very smart, very clever. There's also a problem, not just with data going bad, but data being misentered. Your customers, they might mistype an address, reverse a number. I used to do that all the time. Reverse the house number. Or maybe your customer service reps, they're working fast, they're entering it wrong. You've probably already used Melissa. If you go to a website, start entering an address, and it says, oh, I know this address, and you say yes. Or it says, you could use this address, but we think this was better. Yeah, they're using Melissa. Melissa's global address verification service can verify addresses in 240-plus countries and territories right at the point of entry. Only valid billing and shipping addresses are captured. Never get bad data to begin with. So keep your data up to date. Get the right data entered at the beginning. It'll even allow you to get to know your customers better by adding publicly available information like consumer demographics, property and mortgage data, marital status, even social media handles automatically. So you have a complete view of your customer base. They continually undergo independent security audits because they're committed to your data security, privacy, and compliance. They have the utmost dedication to keeping your stuff private and secure. They implement strong controls and safeguards. They're SOC 2 compliant, HIPAA, GDPR compliant. So they take this very, very seriously. You can use it in any way that works for you. Melissa has all kinds of ways to deploy, whether it's on-prem, as a web service, or software as a service. They have secure FTP upload and download. There's an API, too, that allows you to include Melissa's address verification in your new app. Over 10,000 businesses trust the address experts at Melissa. And now more than ever, it's catalog mania. You're sending out a lot of mailing for the holidays, I'm sure. It's time to take control of your customer data, even for your Christmas card list. Make sure it's accurate. Trust Melissa to be your foundation for data-driven success. By the way, Melissa's good people, too. They're supporting qualifying essential workers and communities during COVID-19 by offering them 6 free months of service. You can apply online, melissa.com/tech. TWiT. Really nice people. So don't put up with sour customer data. Try Melissa's APIs in their developer portal right now. Sign up. Start playing in the API sandbox right this minute or any time of the day or night. Just get started with 1,000 records cleaned for free, by the way. That's a nice way to try it out at melissa.com/twit. MELISSA. There she is in the corner, Melissa. I guess. melissa.com/twit. Thank you, Melissa, for supporting the Tech Guy Show. Thank you for supporting it by using that address, letting him know you saw it here. melissa.com/twit. Now back to the Tech Guy. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Whoa, here he comes. Phil is on the line from Tarzana, California. Hello, Phil.
Hi, Leo.
How are you? Welcome.
Well, good. I have a big problem.
Okay.
I went to upload 20H2, and I was doing I've already done it on 3 other computers we have, and all of a sudden in the middle of it, it just says, hey, would you like to have, I thought it said professional. I said, well, great, I'll just send them a check when they tell me. Do it. Well, it does download.
Yeah.
And then I go through to boot it up, and I look at it and says, why does it say, oh, God, what's the name of it? It's Enterprise.
Yeah.
This is Star Trek.
Yeah, the Enterprise version, yeah.
I have no idea how it came on there. I don't know what it
did. Did they charge you?
No. It just shows up Enterprise, and now it says my number, I have a code that says 0xC004F213 error, which basically says you don't have a right serial number.
Oh, no.
I have no serial numbers, no nothing. I went on the Microsoft site.
Oh, no.
No help. No, nothing. So,
well, you could pay for it, but Enterprise is not cheap. I mean, you have
Enterprise.
You don't want Enterprise. Honestly, you actually don't want it. And I don't know if they'd give it to you. And how annoying that they did that.
So I'm wondering, do I just go ahead and buy like Windows Professional and reinstall it? I don't want to lose all the stuff I have.
I don't think you even need Windows Professional unless you know that there's a feature in Windows Pro that you need. So most PCs come with Windows Home.
Yeah, that's what I had on.
And that's what most people have. If you want, there's some additional features, which actually is good. You get BitLocker so you can encrypt the hard drive. That's probably the single most useful thing in Pro. The rest of it, I don't think you really need. And then there's Enterprise, which you can't even buy standalone. You couldn't even send them money. That's a business.
Yeah, I know.
A business buys a seat license for it, and yeah, I'm shocked that they put that on there.
Yeah, so should I just get a new Windows Home or Pro and just reinstall that?
Let me see if there's a way to downgrade, because that's what you want to do. Downgrade.
Yeah.
From Enterprise to Pro or Home. This is from Microsoft Answers, and I'll put a link in the show notes from this. What did they say? Yeah, you could purchase a 10 Pro license. Yeah, you have to download it. Oh, that's so annoying. You have to download it, but there is so there is a tricksy way to do it involving the registry.
Oh, God.
Okay, your reaction is the right reaction. I'm very encouraged that was your reaction. No one should edit the registry, but there is a way to do it in the registry edit. But I think, golly, I'm very frustrated that they did this to you. That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. Why did they shouldn't, something went wrong. Did you ever get that? Was that computer running home originally?
Oh, no. I've gone from Windows 7 to Windows 10. I've done all the updates.
Unfortunately, now that this has happened, and God knows how, there is no downgrade. You technically have to reinstall. Now, here's the good news: you had Windows 10 installed and running on that, right, and authenticated. Right. So the good news is you can download. Go to Microsoft, Google Microsoft Windows Media Creation Tool.
Yeah.
And you can download Windows 10 Home which is probably what you want. If you want Pro, you can download that, but you have to pay for it eventually.
That's fine.
Okay. So you're going to do it so you can go to Home if you want, whatever you want. And you have to reinstall. You have to reinstall. You create it on a flash drive, a little thumb drive, and reinstall on top of it. I don't know if you'll lose everything. I don't think it'll wipe out the disk. I think it just installs on top of it. And since you've already been authenticated for Windows 10, there'll be no serial number requirement or anything like that. And if you download it now, you'll be downloading H2, the latest version.
Okay, I'll try that then.
So, but I will put. Let's see. Okay, you can also replace your enterprise key with a valid Pro key if you go to System Change Product Key. So, if you know you're going to go Pro, since you never authenticated enterprise, apparently it is possible to enter a Windows 10 Pro key in there, and then it'll say, "Oh, you're Pro. Sorry, I don't know what was I thinking." What was I thinking? So try that first. If that doesn't work, you sure you want Pro?
Yeah, we do some stuff that I like to be able to have some extra protection on my hard drive.
Yeah, BitLocker's great. Pro has extra protection. You can join a directory server, that kind of thing. So yeah, if you need Pro and you're willing to pay, I think it's $80, $90 for the upgrade.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. To say, send us your credit card.
Just go to Microsoft, buy a Pro serial number. Try entering it in the control panel, System Change Product Key. It should at that point say, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're not Enterprise. You're Pro. And you'll be done. If that doesn't work, then you might have to reinstall. There's no way to downgrade, but I think Enterprise and Pro are close enough. That's such a weird thing. And maybe that's why they say Enterprise, is because you haven't bought a serial number yet. And as soon as you do, it'll turn into Pro. That might be it.
It was like,
Hey, congratulations. You just bought a 1,000-seat license.
Yeah.
That'll be $25,000.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Okay. I'll go get that.
I'm sorry that happened. I've never heard of that. I'm going to have to ask around. I've never heard that happening.
There's one in there about it. The same thing happened, but it's like a year or two old ago.
Yeah, I think that now that I look around, it looks like you should be able to just put the Pro serial number in there. But I'll put links in the show notes to both of these Microsoft support articles.
Oh, super. Then I'll wait till tomorrow to see it.
Well, you don't have to wait. Go ahead, try it. Just try it. See what happens. How bad can it be?
You're 7 seconds behind me on my picture on the TV.
Okay, so I'll be waving at you in 7 seconds.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Hey, it's great. It's great to talk to you. Hey, yeah, we do stream video. I don't know why. It's a radio show, but we do stream video. I think sometimes it's fun. And I have decorated the studio, so you can see our Yule log burning and all of that. That stream is at twit.tv/live. Twit.tv/live. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're letting the music play. That sounds good. Professor Laura, our musical director. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. When you hear something on the show, and last call, for instance, I said, I'll give you a couple of links to the Microsoft support pages. Those links end up on the website at techguylabs.com. So you can go. There's already 1,751 shows there. This is 1752. So you can go to any individual show. You can go, each show is broken up into hour 1, 2, and 3. Each hour broken up into the calls. So that would be a call 2 and hour 2 of show 1752. And you could see the question, you could see the answer. The links will be there. There's even audio and video after the fact. So that's why we put up the website, so you don't have to write this stuff down while we're talking. It's techguylabs.com. That's free. There's no sign up. There's not, I don't want your email. No, nothing like that. techguylabs.com. On we go with Stacy in Greenville, Michigan. Hello, Stacy.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging on. What can I do for you today?
Well, I have a very kind of odd question, I think.
Good.
I moved to West Michigan from the Bay Area in 2014.
We miss you.
And thank you. I miss a lot of things there and a lot of people, I can tell you.
You missed snow, and you just had to have more snow.
I actually love the snow.
Yeah. I like snow too. I grew up with it. Yeah. And you love what?
Me too. Me too. I grew up in Eastern Washington,
Yeah.
so I missed the 4 seasons. But I lived in the Bay Area for 27 years.
Wow.
And then I moved out here, and everything is great except my internet speed because I live out in the rural countryside. And
that's the thing. You get this beautiful place to live, and you look outside, and there's trees, and there's bears, and it's just beautiful. But there's no internet because the American internet companies only put internet where they could make a lot of money.
Exactly. It's my best average speed is 1.3 download and like 0.03 upload.
Now, there was a time when we'd be happy with that. I remember when I got my first ISDN line, because remember 56 kilobit modems? You know, they were really slow. But
I've never had anything this slow in my life.
It's pretty bad, isn't it? The internet is not designed for that. That's the real problem.
Yeah. Well, I changed careers when I moved out here because I was doing like custom web design and development.
Oh, even worse.
In the area.
So you're a geek. You're even worse.
So then,
you're suffering.
I just did small like portfolio websites for small businesses, but I couldn't do that anymore once I moved here.
No. Can't do anything. You barely can read your email.
Well, yeah, I do that. So I actually found a great new career. Now I am a full-time miniature origami artist.
Oh, wow. You're kidding.
Because no, I'm serious.
That's what you do while you're waiting for a web page to load. You fold a couple of cranes. Boom, boom, boom.
Exactly.
When you say miniature, what, the size of a penny? How big?
I typically fold paper that's between 1/2 inch and 1.5 inches square.
What?
So
you must have very tiny fingers, very precise.
I have average sized fingers, but I've learned I have a lot more patience.
Yeah. Yeah. Me, there'd be a lot of little tiny crumpled up balls thrown all over the house. Anyway, what can I do to help you with this terrible situation?
So, I left the West Coast where there's earthquakes, and I moved out here to the Midwest and discovered that we get tornadoes.
Oh, yeah, see, it's nothing. It's just the house could blow away.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Hey.
And if it lacks the rotation of the wind, then they're called straight line winds. But they're just as damaging.
Wait a minute.
Blow straight through.
Are you Stacy Tamaki?
Yes.
Of tinygamigot.com?
How do you know who I am?
Oh, my God.
Yes, that's me.
Oh, my God. You're not kidding. When I said a penny's big. This stuff, you can have a family of frogs on a single penny.
Yes.
Oh, crazy. Oh, this is great, Stacy. I love this.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give you better internet. We would lose a real talent.
Well, I'm waiting for Starlink. I'm signed up.
Yes, good.
Hoping to be a beta tester, But
that's going to be that should transform your life. Now, it's not going to be cheap. It's $99 for the trial plus $500 ahead of time for the satellite dish. But it bodes very well. They've only got a tenth of the satellites up that they're going to eventually launch, and already people are using it. So good, yeah. So you're all aware of that stuff, and you probably already checked to see if there's LTE in your area and stuff like that.
I'll be thrilled. I can't get anything.
Nothing.
Well, the only thing that I can get is a Verizon hotspot, but it isn't always stable.
Yeah.
So even though it's fast, it'll drop a lot.
Yeah, because you're just a little too far away, probably.
Yeah. I have friends. Well, one of the friends I was going to tell you about, she lives 15 miles away from me in Cedar Springs, which is a city, and I live down this dirt road in the middle of nowhere, kind of, which is what makes it beautiful. But here's my problem: was at the end of August, the news report said, the weather report said we were going to have a big, rainstorm at 2 a.m. and that it could be severe thunderstorm, which is kind of the code word for
that's potential tornado, right? Yeah, potential doesn't mean it's going to happen, but the potential.
Yeah, when you're on the West Coast, you don't know that.
Right.
That's what severe weather means.
Oh, everybody in Michigan knows that. That's a tornado. Yeah.
So at 10 o'clock, I'm talking to a friend on the phone on my iPhone, which coincidentally, I still have my 408 phone number on it. I never changed when I moved out here.
Yeah.
But Verizon knows I live in Michigan because they charged me an extra like $5 a month for some kind of tax.
They figured that out, did they? They're no fools.
Yeah, so they know I'm in Michigan.
Don't get between Verizon and its money. They'll bite your arm right off.
Yep, they came for it.
Yep.
So then I was chatting with this friend at 10 p.m., and the winds really picked up.
Uh-oh.
And then the power went out.
Oh, no.
And at that moment, the rain started coming down so hard.
I'm staying in the Bay Area. Okay. You convinced me.
Through a car wash, you know.
Yeah.
Droplets. It was just sheets like I'd never seen
sheets.
since I moved here.
Yeah, we're lucky if we get one rainstorm a month here. So that's a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been through big rainstorms here since I moved here because I moved here in 2014. So this was unlike anything. So I'm chatting with my friend on my iPhone, and I walk across the living room, and I push the curtain back to peer out into the darkness just out of curiosity because I couldn't believe how hard the water was hitting the glass. And that's when I realized that the house was shaking when I was touching the curtain rod, like an earthquake, kind of shaking. And at that moment, it sounded like the roof was about to just blow straight off the house. And I said out loud, I'm like, oh, my gosh, is this a tornado? And then like that, it was gone. It went over us.
Yeah.
So then you go outside, and the power lines are down.
Yikes.
The phone lines are down.
So it's just a baby tornado.
Yeah, the trees are uprooted, like trees that are probably 150 years old, a few of those. Just
Yikes.
Straight down. Our neighbors lost their porch. You know, it was just a big mess. But my question is, why didn't I receive the weather alert to let me know tornado was coming? Because my friend who lives 15 miles northwest of me in Cedar Springs, she got one on her.
You probably, when you were living in the Bay Area, turned off those extreme weather alerts because nothing ever happens here.
No, they were on. I even double-checked after it happened. I double-checked.
Hold on a second, because I got to take a break, but I will help you, I think, when we return. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So I guess the first thing is where she's getting those alerts from, because you know, when we had the wildfires here, you could sign up for alerts, but you had to sign up for those. So, but I think in tornado area, you should have, there's a system called the Wireless Emergency Alert System, and you should be getting these alerts instead of having to say what's going on. Was it a tornado, by the way?
Later on, I found out that it was.
Wow.
My neighbor, a couple doors down, was the former fire chief nearby.
Wow.
And he and another neighbor were talking and said that it was a tornado because when you look at some of the trees that came down, they had turned.
You're just lucky. It mustn't have been a direct hit on your house.
It went straight through our yard.
Jeez Louise.
Straight through the yard. I mean,
isn't that terrifying?
It was a miracle no one died.
Yeah. So are you on an I'm thinking you're iOS, because I don't think origami folders use Android.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Correct.
I don't know. I just made that up. So it's in notifications. There's emergency alerts. Have you looked at that to see if they're on?
It was turned on. I had already turned those on just because we have that kind of weather out here.
Yeah.
The only thing I had turned off was the Amber Alert.
Yeah, because what are you going to do? You're in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really need the Amber Alert. But I double-checked just to make sure.
So at the bottom of government alerts, you see emergency alerts and you see public safety alerts, and those are both turned on.
Those were both turned on. Yeah.
And by the way, just like you, I've turned off Amber Alerts because I want to know if I'm going to get hit by a tornado. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You can also, do you have you probably don't because your bandwidth's so bad. You don't have any Amazon Echoes in your house, right?
Oh, gosh, no.
No. Because they will also do severe weather alerts. I'm thinking it has to do with your connectivity. I'm thinking that, and this is Verizon your cell phone carrier?
It is.
This might be worth a call to Verizon, and it's a public safety issue, and say, I didn't get the alerts. I'm pretty sure it uses the cell network to do that. I don't know how else it would do that. Depending on that, let's see, I'm looking. Yeah, it's got to come in through the cell network, right?
I'm wondering, is there a way to verify if a warning was even sent out to my area that night? And I just didn't get it? Or did they just...
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, okay. So those come from the wireless emergency alerts system. So I think you could... Let me just see if there's a website that you can go to. Because you would think there'd be some sort of... Yeah, that's really annoying. You really want to get those. I could see why this would be... it's fcc.gov. So it's the FCC who does this. Good luck getting any answers from the FCC.
Okay.
Wireless companies volunteer to participate. So this warn system comes through your cell phone, but your wireless company, and Verizon, I'm sure, participates. I think it's a call to Verizon saying, I didn't get an alert. It's turned on my phone, but I didn't get it. The fact that your cell signal isn't great anyway, is it?
Oh, my cell signal is actually usually fine.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I get good cell reception, just not good internet.
Yeah. I think it's a call to Verizon and I'm going to put a link in the show notes to the FCC page about this because they have a good FAQ. Tiny Gummy. I'm loving it. Little Tiny Teeny Weeny Origami by Stacy. You're just very patient. So Stacy, we were talking to Stacy, and actually I want to continue because this is something everybody should know about. On your Android or iOS device, you have these emergency alerts. You may have even seen them. And you can disable them. I would not, especially if you live in Tornado Alley. Obviously, you want to get those. And Stacy's worried because she didn't get it. We're going to put a link in the show notes to the FCC page about this. It is something that is voluntary for your cell carrier. But you're on Verizon, and you tell me you get pretty good signal. You can use your cell phone. So that seems to me that I'm sure Verizon participates. It is based on your location, based on cell towers. So it may be that the system just didn't know you were getting a tornado, right? This is the same thing. The presidential alerts come through this. As you mentioned, amber alerts, severe weather alerts. This is actually a great system. It's a joint venture of the FCC, FEMA, and the wireless industry, but it is volunteer, so not every wireless company would support this, but I know Verizon does, absolutely. It's not perfectly geographically precise, so it may be that they didn't realize the tornado. Tornadoes are kind of unpredictable. So
yeah, except it had already touched down and done a lot of damage northwest of me before it came and hit our yards out here and our road.
In theory, it should be accurate to within a tenth of a mile. So
my 408 area code shouldn't have any bearing.
Oh, that's your question. Yeah, that's an interesting question. No, it's using the cell tower that you're near. It's not using your phone number. It's using your cell tower, and it may even be. I'm looking here at the FCC page. It implies that it says beginning in November 2017, wireless providers were required to transmit alerts to a geographic area that best approximated the area affected by emergency situation, even if it's smaller than a county. So, and then in 2019, they had to improve geo-targeting even further. So it sounds like they're using cell towers, almost certainly. I doubt they're using GPS. But if you're on a cell tower, now you may not be. You say your Verizon works great, but it may be using Wi-Fi and not a cell tower. Turn off your Wi-Fi and see how your Verizon works.
Oh, yeah. No, it works fine without the Wi-Fi.
Even without Wi-Fi calling on it, it works. Okay. So that means you are within a good...
More reliable
than
the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, because your Wi-Fi is so terrible. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So it sounds like you check all the boxes that you should be able to get these. It's not a perfect system. I understand your concern.
The pandemic alerts that keep coming through whenever our governor, orders.
So you're getting those. Okay.
Yeah, those come through. So I know at least things can come in. But those are less critical, obviously, than the tornadoes heading your way.
Yeah. Maybe it is. One of our chat room members, Chumley, says he has a 619 number, a San Diego area code, and he was in Oklahoma. All the phones around him went off because there was an F5 tornado on its way. His did not.
Oh.
So I think Verizon might be able to help you on this. I think you really want to call them because this is important.
Okay.
You definitely want those alerts. Do you have a storm cellar?
No, we just have a basement.
Oh, that's okay. That was good enough for Dorothy.
Standing by the window.
Yeah, you would want to run into the basement, obviously. Yeah, so you'd want that warning.
Right. Okay.
And I'm not sure how it works, but somebody in the chat room saying, and this makes sense, that the alert goes to the tower, not through the cell company, but through the weather service or whoever's watching these things. It goes to the tower. They have a way to ping the tower and say, send an alert. So it isn't Verizon doing it, but it is Verizon towers that are being used. It's interesting. Yeah, I would call Verizon. I would definitely call Verizon. What a great question. It's an interesting question. And these alerts are relatively new, and they're really great. And they're very loud. If you've ever gotten one, you're not going to sleep through it. By the way, just to reassure you, even if your phone's in Do Not Disturb, you will get the alert.
Right. Well, thank you. Well, and I appreciate that, in your show, you're like, no question is too silly because
that's a great question.
Sitting on this and feeling like, this isn't a super technical question.
But it is, though, and it's actually an interesting part of our cell network, and it's really, I think, fairly important. So you want to get those alerts. So you already went into your settings, and everybody can do this. You can go into your settings on the iPhone. It's in the notifications at the very bottom, and you can see whether those alerts are turned on. If you're on Amazon's Echo speakers will do it as well, which is kind of cool. You could say, Echo, turn on severe weather alerts. So that's cool. And if you're on Android, it's in settings. It's in the connections settings, where it says more connection settings, because it's associated with the cell carrier. You'll see wireless emergency alerts. You want to turn those on either phone. Public safety alerts especially. But I think it also may be an imperfect system, especially with tornadoes, because they move, erratically and swiftly. And it may just be that the weather service just didn't know, couldn't get it to you. But I'd call Verizon to make sure it's on and working.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Stacy. Thank you for your origami. Do you sell on Etsy, right?
I do. But I'll send you some. I'll send you a little tiny care package.
Oh, you don't have to do that. That's really cute, though.
I'd be happy.
And if you're on Instagram, you can see Stacy's origami. Her Instagram account is tinygami. Teeny tiny little gami. Are you Japanese? Tamaki sounds Japanese.
I'm third generation, yes.
But this is a Japanese paper folding art. Did your great-grandparents teach it to you, or just you came to it later?
My grandmother, my maternal grandmother, taught me how to fold a crane when I was around 7. Because she died when I was 10, so I know I was really young. And then I just knew how to fold cranes most of my life and would fold 1 or 2 a year. And then I had this idea of
how fun.
If I fold tiny ones, I could make this mobile of 1,000 and fit it in a display case. And that's what got me started on folding in miniature.
Of course, cranes are for peace. We got tiny origami cranes when we visited Nagasaki and Hiroshima in Japan. Wow, that's really neat. Well, keep up the good work, and I hope you get lots of followers at Tinygami, TINYGAMI. I'm going to follow you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Stacy. Nice to talk to you.
Appreciate it.
Stay safe. Holy cow. And If you ever do get on Starlink, I know there's a beta, and you're in the area. You're north of, it's the most northernmost part of the country can do it because of where the satellites are. If you ever do get accepted and get it, let me know how it works. I'd be very, very curious. That's going to be a lifesaver for a lot of people in areas that just are not served. The internet service providers in this country are greedy sons of guns. No, they're businesses. I understand. But they're still greedy sons of guns, and they're not gonna wire up an area where the population density is too low. So if you live in a rural area, beautiful area, you choose it for its beauty, you're also probably going to lose high-speed internet access. And honestly, that's the reason Elon Musk is launching 12,000 low Earth orbit satellites to get internet access to every corner of the globe, especially those areas that are underserved. And I don't, it's expensive right now. I don't know what the final price will be, but early reports are the speed is good. He's promising gigabit. I don't know if it'll be that fast, but the speed is certainly better than what you're getting, Stacey, and it may even end up being better than, many cable or telephone company internet service providers. It's very interesting. Of course, you remember there were some controversy over it because amateur astronomers hate the idea of 12,000 low Earth orbit satellites in the sky. It means pretty much any picture you try to take of stars will be marred by a trail from a satellite. And actually, one of the responses Starlink came up with is painting them to not reflect sunlight. They're trying to make them be stealth. They got permission. The FCC gave them approval for all 12,000 satellites. It's not just Elon doing it either, by the way. Other companies, I think Amazon's Blue Origin, that's actually not Amazon, it's Jeff Bezos's space project is working on that too. You know who I could ask about that? Next hour, our space guy. I got to come up with a name for him. Rod Pyle will be stopping by, and we can talk about that. I also want to talk about the fact that the Japanese explorer has brought back pieces of an asteroid. That's interesting too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, gizmos and gadgets galore. 8888 Ask Leo. If you need help buying a present for a geek, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We also can be reached via Skype out. That's the kind of Skype that lets you call phone numbers. And it shouldn't cost you anything because it's a toll-free number. Website is techguylabs.com. That's important because, well, the phone number's there, the chat room's there, all the different things, but also answers to all the questions. And when I talk about websites or programs or whatever, the links go there too. Thanks to our scribe, James DeRuvo, who writes it all down. 8888 Ask Leo, techguylabs.com. Rocco's on the line from Valencia, California. Hi, Rocco.
Hey, Leo, what's up?
Not much. What's up with you? How's it going?
It's good. Weather's good out here today. Okay, I'm going to go fast. I got a couple of things.
Yep.
First thing, are you aware of, in the last couple of downloads from Apple, I don't know which one it was, they have where they're, I guess, monitoring your passwords. And I was playing around in settings, and let me get in it. It's in... settings.
Are you talking the iPhone or the Macintosh?
I'm on the iPhone now.
iPhone, okay.
So yeah. You go to passwords, and then security recommendations. And a red dot.
Yeah.
Yeah, a red dot. Are you aware of this?
Yeah, they've been slowly beefing up the password manager that they offer, which is through Safari and Keychain. And it's been on the Mac for quite some time, on the iPhone as well. The problem with it is that it's unique to Apple. So if you use anything that's not Apple, like an Android device or Windows device or Linux device, your passwords aren't there. But yeah, and hey, anything that Apple's doing to beef up passwords is fantastic. In fact, I like it so much. Our sponsor is LastPass. I use LastPass. I've been using it for 12 years as my password manager because it's cross-platform. But because I wanted to play with what Apple was doing on my new Big Sur laptop, I allowed, normally I don't let browsers remember passwords, but I know Apple's doing a good job of this securely. So I've been allowing Safari to remember them. And as a result, I see. I did not know that they were making security recommendations. I've got a big red exclamation mark, and it says, security recommendations, security risks found. Let's see.
Right.
Oh, and this is good. You know what? This is good. So what it's finding is compromised passwords that have shown up on the dark web.
And repeating passwords.
And ones where you've reused them. And I have 2 sites where I've used the same password. And, of course, that's always a bad habit. I usually do it on sites where I don't really care. In both of these cases, these are old passwords. But thank you, Apple. I will fix. In fact, and I'm not going to show this on screen, but if I tap that, it'll tell me it is both compromised and reused. And now it gives me a link, change password on website. That's nice. So it'll pull you right up to that site.
My problem is that I have 297 that are compromised.
Well, it's warning you. Do you reuse passwords typically, or?
Well, these are probably mostly on apps and stuff that I, like you say, don't care about.
Exactly.
My 2 banks don't have repeating passwords.
Good.
They're
Right.
They're different.
No, and just like you, I have a standard password I use for newspapers, magazines, things like that, because who cares if somebody gets it?
Yeah. And then I clicked on 1Password, and it comes over. There's a repeating password there. It shows it. Many people use this password, which makes it easy to guess.
Right.
So
that's good.
But it's not like Apple is trying to sell you anything. I haven't run across that.
No, they're just trying to protect you. God bless them.
Right. So Password Manager, that's one that you recommend?
Well, the one I use is called LastPass. It does the same thing, by the way. LastPass. It does the same thing, and there's many of them. There's 1Password, LastPass. Those are the 2 best known. There's an open source one people like called KeyPass. There's Bitwarden, which is also open source. There's many of these. They all work roughly the same way. I use LastPass, and I've used it for a dozen years. They were one of the early ones, and they're still one of the best. They're a sponsor, too, so I have a little soft spot in my heart for them. No, but thank you for pointing that out. I knew Apple was doing that, but I didn't know they were now telling you about security warnings. That's really good.
Yeah, okay, so I got LastPass written down. I don't want to hear about that anymore. We're done with that.
Moving on.
We're done with that.
What else?
And, okay, quickly. TiVo, which I've had, I was the first one in Santa Clarita Valley to have it. I was the guinea pig, and I was the one that found out why it wasn't working. So I pat myself on the back for that. That was 100 years ago. So TiVo, or I'm ready to get a new one, all new equipment. TiVo or cable company DVR.
I like TiVo better, but I have to point out it's expensive. And I feel like the company that purchased TiVo doesn't really care about hardware so much. I think that DVRs in this form are on their way out, even the ones that the cable company provide you. Look to the future, which is, for instance, YouTube TV, where it's a streaming service that gives you your channels, and you just press a plus button next to the show you want, and it'll record it from then on. You can have unlimited, well, not unlimited, but virtually unlimited recordings. 6 different family members can each have their own DVR, so you don't have to share the DVR with your kids or your spouse. That, I think, the online DVR is probably the future. Even Comcast is starting to do that with their X1 product. So I would not, I'd be careful about, TiVo's so expensive, and then you remember you got the monthly cost or a lifetime pass. It's going to end up costing you, north of $500. And then
I've been with them since the beginning, so I'm kind of locked in. All I would have to pay is for the box.
Yeah, and honestly, it's the best. It's the best of all of the services. I think it's better than any cable company DVR, and I've used them all. The Hopper, which Dish now acquired, is pretty good. I haven't used it, but I'm impressed by the features. But yeah, if you're a TiVo guy, stick with TiVo. Ride it all the way down. I think it's going down, to be honest with you, in the long run, though.
Well, no, I wish that because with all this streaming stuff, which is insane, more passwords, more, signing up. I really don't like it. I'm going to stay with the cable as long as I have.
You'll be one of the few, the proud. This year alone, 1 million people cut the cord. Cable companies are realizing that many, many, many of their customers are going to cut the cord. The future of video and TV is over the internet.
Well, somebody they're advertising now, and they have Discovery is one they have on there, and HGTV.
Right.
Now there's seven that's going to be on their service. Well, I would only use HG and Discovery.
I know, it's ironic that these streaming services have duplicated the terrible business model of the cable companies now.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate.
Like the Spanish channel station.
Yeah, you never watch them. What do you need to buy them for? Well, that's just the way it works.
Right.
Yeah.
And they won't. But they put in.
They don't sell a la carte. Yeah, they sell bundles.
They put in one. Like I like Smithsonian.
Right.
It's by itself in a package.
Well, you can, what is the Simpsons thing? I'm trying to remember. Old man yells at the clouds. You can yell at the clouds all you want. But there's nothing to do about it. Stick with what you like. I love TiVo. I have 3 TiVos. In fact, my wife's TiVo was on the blink this morning, and I said, I hope it doesn't die because I'm not buying another one. We've already lost one of the 3 we have. I love TiVo, but I think in the long run, I don't think the company that makes it is too committed to the box. It's an old-fashioned way of doing stuff. Look, people loved buying albums, record albums, and then they loved buying cassettes and 8-tracks, and then they loved buying CDs. And at every step of the way, we said, well, I'm never giving up my whatever. But now most music is digital, sold streaming. You don't even own it. You rent it. You rent it as long as you have your Spotify account. That's just the times change. So I'm with you. I'm an old man yelling at the cloud too. I don't, but things change, and that's how it's going to be. And keep TiVo as long as you like it and it's working. I wouldn't spend a whole lot of money on new TiVos, but as long as it continues to work. I'm a little burnt because I bought the most recent TiVo I bought, the Bolt 3, just died, and I replaced the hard drive that wasn't in. And somebody said, oh, you got to replace the power supply. I'm not going to spend any more money or any more time on this thing. I'm just going to, and when you buy that lifetime subscription, which I always did, I think it was $800. I got 2 or 3 years out of it. So I think in the long run, something like YouTube TV where you pay, it's expensive. It's $55 a month. It's basically an internet cable service. Yeah, you get channels you don't want, but you also get, presumably, the channels you do want. You get a DVR. I think that's probably where we're headed. But if you want to use 8-tracks, go right ahead. I have nothing wrong with that. Be my guest. It's perfectly fine. Just understand the world moves on. All right. We better stop. Christmas in Hollis, ladies and gentlemen. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Rocco is on the line. Oh, no, we just talked to Rocco. Had fun talking to Rocco, but now it's time for Bernie in Lakewood, California. Hello, Bernie.
Lakewood, Colorado.
Colorado. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Leo. I have a question concerning the Mac Mini with the M1 chip in it and Big Sur. And it has to do with the monitors. When I'm in the landscape mode, I have 2 monitors connected. When I'm in the landscape mode, they work fine. If I put one of them in the portrait mode, things go to hell.
Now, see, this is a brand new system and a brand new chip, and we knew from the beginning Apple was saying it's going to be limited in the number of monitors it would support and the resolutions it would support because it's not using a discrete GPU. It's using the one built into the system on a chip. So I have one, but I haven't ever connected it to another monitor, so I'm really not up on what's going on. That's a weird thing nobody's mentioned, that it doesn't handle. You're saying it works fine in portrait, but not in.
No, it works fine in landscape.
I mean landscape, but not in portrait.
Right. And basically, the resolution I have on both of my monitors is 1440 by 2560. But when I put either one of my monitors into the portrait mode, the only two choices I have are 756 by 1344 or 720.
How annoying.
And that's horrible.
How annoying.
Yeah, and so I don't know if it's the M1 chip that is causing it or whether it's Big Sur, because I don't have any other computers that have Big Sur on them to try it. But it works on earlier operating systems.
So you had no trouble with that before. It's only with the new system that you're having trouble. Yeah.
That's correct.
And the monitor that you're using has will rotate?
Yes.
I think it's probably up to the monitor driver to communicate to the operating system properly what its capabilities are. So who makes the monitor?
These are Monoprice monitors.
Yeah, so it'd be my guess that Monoprice needs to update for Big Sur. That probably something has changed with the new operating system, but the Monoprice is, basing its drivers on Catalina or earlier, and so isn't giving the proper information to the operating system, because it has to say, yeah, I could do portrait and I do this resolution, et cetera, et cetera. So, but again, I don't know, because A, I don't have that monitor, and you're an unknown. You're in terra incognita. This is brand new. 2 weeks old, this machine, and people, I don't know what's people are messing around trying to get more displays hooked up to it and that kind of thing. I'm gonna guess it has more to do with the driver than anything else. But let me ask around. I do have a lot of Mac experts, and some of them may have heard about this and may know about it.
Basically, even if I use just one monitor and put it in the portrait mode, it doesn't work right.
Yeah. Yeah, which again, that sounds like not a limitation of the hardware or the operating system, but more a communication issue between the monitor and the operating system. And that all comes down to the driver. So I would check with Monoprice. I mean, first of all, this is a great computer, right? You're happy with your new Mac Mini, I presume.
Yeah. It's fast.
It's scary fast. The biggest difference is when you open a browser, when you open Safari and you open a site in Safari. I loaded my website last night. I know how long it takes. It's got a lot. It's big. It's got a lot of stuff. It opened like the blink of an eye. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen it load so fast. So this thing is really amazing. But you and I are early adopters, and this is the kind of thing we have to deal with. There's programs I love and I need that don't work on it. There's issues, and there are going to be issues, but they'll be fixed up. My suspicion is it's a driver issue, and that companies that make these monitors like Monoprice, and I'm sure Monoprice doesn't make it. They're reselling somebody else's monitor. In fact, if you could figure out who made that monitor, you might have better luck going to the original manufacturer and seeing if they've put out an updated driver.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. It's completely a guess, but that's exactly what it sounds like. And then the chat room's reminding me that there is in the system preference, display preference, if you hold down the option key, you'll get a hidden menu on the scale. But I think that's just going to change you might be able to change the resolution after the fact. So that's another thing. So remember, the display control panel or system preference pane shows a very scant bunch of choices, proper, best for this display, then scaled, and maybe it'll show some scaled ones. If you hold the option key down when you go there, you can choose other resolutions, and that may be a fix. You may actually find that you can manually tell it, no, it's higher resolution. In effect, you'd be overriding, at that point, I think, overriding the display driver. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our rocket man is here. Rod Pyle, editor-in-chief at Astra Magazine. He's the author of Space 2.0, and he's our newest regular on the show talking about space. And I was so glad that I knew you were coming here today, Rod, because I read this week about a Japanese mission. They launched this thing, 7 years ago? Aiming at an asteroid out there, the Hayabusa 2. It's an asteroid sample return mission. It rendezvoused 2 years ago with Ryugu, which is an asteroid in near-Earth orbit. And then it flew back here, and yesterday it landed with the sample.
That's right. Isn't that exciting?
It's total sci-fi. Was it a little robot arm that picked up a piece of the rock? And
Well, it's actually more complicated because they set a couple of jumpers down there. So they had a couple of smaller probes that departed the main spacecraft, Hayabusa 2, and they went down and bounced around and looked at things. And then they got very close to it. And these things have almost no gravity, right? So you got to go down there and station keep while you're grabbing a sample. So they grabbed a sample with a robot arm. Then they backed off, and a couple months later, they shot a projectile at it that actually banged a big crater in the side of the asteroid so they could get some stuff below the surface. And they scooped up some of that. And what makes this asteroid so interesting, now they've done this before. Hayabusa 1 did this years ago, I think it was about 2012, where they grabbed 1 milligram of an asteroid called Itakawa. Hayabusa 2 is bringing back 100 times that much. And Ryugu is a very ancient chunk of the solar system. It's heavily carbon-based asteroid, and it's organic carbon, we're pretty sure. And that, we think, is one of the building blocks of early life on Earth. So that's what makes this so exciting. And now they've got enough stuff to actually pass around to other countries to look at. So these will go into biohazard sealed labs all over the place. And we'll really start to see what the solar system's made of.
Oh, that's fascinating. So there are a couple of reasons we're interested in asteroids. One is we could mine them. I mean, they might have all kinds of useful materials in the asteroid. But this one, it sounds like we're also interested because it could tell us a little bit about where life came from or that kind of thing. Tell me about that.
And that's kind of the new thing in solar system exploration. I mean, robotic exploration has been happening since the late 50s, early 60s, but robots were very unreliable back then. But now we're really kind of interested in the origins of life. So, of course, the Mars 2020 rover will be landing in February, and that's the first true astrobiology mission from NASA since Viking landed on Mars in the 70s, 1976.
Wow.
And these questions about the origins of life. And by the way, when we did Viking, the tests on there for life were basically, let's dump some Martian soil in this kind of chicken soup
and try to grow it
and see what it does.
Yeah.
And it was kind of naive. It was assuming everything was the way it is on Earth. But now we know, we've studied these things called extremophiles, which are these weird kinds of life that can grow in these 800-degree volcanic vents on the bottom of the ocean and under the surface of a rock in Antarctica and so forth. So we have much more comprehensive understanding of how this might work. And so the Mars 2020 rover is going to go around and drill about 30 samples, about 6 to 7 inches below the surface, little metal tube about the size of a small cigar. And it's going to toss those over his shoulder, basically, and then those samples wait there until another mission goes up, which is going to fetch them and bring them home, which is really, when you think about the sophistication of that, I mean, this tube could roll under a rock or get buried by a windstorm or something. So when you look at the kind of software development they're doing for this thing called a fetch rover, which is going to go grab those with a 6 degree of freedom arm, it's just mind-bending stuff. And that's what happens when you go to JPL. You see these people that have practically heat radiating off their heads because of their IQs.
Is this stuff, it's got to be autonomous, right? There's so much delay communicating with them. You can't do it in real time. They kind of have to do their own thing, don't they, when they're gathering materials?
They do. They're highly autonomous. I mean, ultimately, you can park and wait for a round-trip message to Earth and back for instructions, but that can be up to a half an hour or more. So they want them to be as autonomous as possible. And as we talked about before, you're building autonomy into software that's got to run on what is essentially a Power PC chip from 1992.
What?
It's running at 133 megahertz.
They couldn't get an M1 in there?
With almost no memory. Right. You're not running Windows on this, baby. And as you know, these are defense-rated chips. They're made for the military to survive under a nuclear war scenario.
Right. Well, there's cosmic rays bombarding these things all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
There's cosmic rays, there's solar radiation, and the problem is with just regular chips, one of these high energy particles can slam through there and flip a bit, and now you got problems. So they have to have an A side and a B side, and they switch back and forth, and we've seen that a lot with the Mars rovers in particular. But it's just amazing the amount of stuff that they can do with one of these machines, including building in, as you point out, autonomy. And by the way, China just had their Chang'e 5 probe. It's the fifth one in the series. The first 1 and 2, went into lunar orbit. The next 2, Chang'e 3 and 4, had small rovers. And now they just completed a sampling of the lunar surface with Chang'e 5. and they're flying that back. They flew back up to lunar orbit, docked with their return vehicle, which is going to fly it back to Earth, and in a couple of weeks that'll be back on Earth. It'll land in Mongolia in one piece, hopefully, and they're bringing back 5 pounds of the moon. Wow. So that's the first sample that's come back since the Russians did it in 1976 with a robot.
I'd be tempted to say, oh, we can't learn anything from the moon, but didn't we just find out there's actually quite a bit of water on the moon?
Yeah, from orbit they were able to map water on the South Lunar Pole, and more recently, smaller amounts of it kind of blended in with rocks closer to the equator, which is a little easier to reach. But the water in the South Lunar Pole appears to be a couple billion tons, many billions of tons of water ice. And the thing about water there, which is why the Chinese, their next mission is going to be to set up a robotic lab in the South Pole, and that's the target for the American Artemis mission, which will hopefully fly in the next 4 to 6 years. With water, you can make oxygen to breathe. You can make constituents of rocket fuel. You can make water that you can drink. And as you know, it's very expensive to launch water. It's on the order of $10,000 a gallon, or maybe more, like $30,000 or $40,000, depending on how you're launching it. So once you find water up there on the moon or on an asteroid where you have these much lower gravitational fields, you don't need these big SpaceX Falcon 9 rockets to launch it. The solar system's your backyard. You can go anywhere you want.
We live at the bottom of a very, very deep gravity well. And if we could just get out of that dang well, the solar system awaits. So that's very exciting to know that we could perhaps get a mission to the moon and go from there to Mars and other places using the water on the moon as fuel. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And on Mars, by the way, on the Mars 2020 rover mission, the Perseverance mission, but they also have a helicopter, which is going to be flying, which is really cool.
I know, I love that.
But they have an experiment called MOXIE, which is going to extract oxygen from the Martian atmosphere. It's just a demonstrator. But if that works, then NASA plans to pre-place scaled up on the order of 100 times larger oxygen processors that'll also provide oxygen for breathing and fuel. And then when you land on Mars, you've got fuel waiting for you to come home, so you don't have to carry so much mass out there, which is the bugaboo of spacecraft. You know, mass is always a bad thing.
Right. Wow. It's very exciting. It's nice. I was talking yesterday about how I don't like to do too much, technology in the future is going to be amazing. Imagine if this or that. But I do love talking about real world stuff that is happening that is absolutely mind-boggling. And this is perhaps the most mind-boggling of all the things we're doing, this notion of getting off the planet and exploring. And we're getting close. We're getting close. Pretty cool. We're
getting very close.
That's
and
neat.
If Elon Musk is successful with his Starship launch, he's doing a test launch to a number of miles up in, I think, about a week.
Soon, yeah.
That's going to be capable, fully reusable. That'll be capable of carrying perhaps 50 to 80 people to the moon or even Mars.
I would go. Would you go? We're too old. They won't let us. But would you go if you get it?
You know, I sat in a Gemini capsule once.
It's pretty
When they
small,
close that
isn't it?
hatch, you start sweating. Yeah, so I'm not sure.
Rod Pyle, editor-in-chief at Astra. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you again next week. Leo Laporte.
Thank you very much.
The tech guy. Nice. Nice. That's awesome. Do you want, I didn't ask you, do you want me to, should I plug the Planetary Society, or what would you like to give an address that people could join or anything like that? Or
it's National Space Society.
I'm sorry,
actually.
National Space Society.
We're kind of the human space flight side of Planetary Society, if you look at it that way. Sure, it's space.nss.org is the website.
I will. Let me put that on here.
Okay, and I'll send it to John too.
Yeah, because I think we should give you a plug. And that's where they can subscribe to Ad Astra if they wanted to, or do you just join in?
Right, and I'll have. In about 2 weeks, I'll have a separate site up for Ad Astra. We're still working on that.
Nice.
Have I sent you any copies of Ad Astra?
No.
I need to.
You must.
We did about a year and a half ago. We did a special edition for Apollo that was about 90 pages, and it just turned out great. And we got an exclusive interview with Buzz Aldrin, which is always fun.
I interviewed Buzz 20 years ago when his book came.
Yeah.
It was really cool. He's cool. So how about that? You see that at the bottom there, space.nss.org.
I can't see it from here, but I take your word for it.
You can't see
Did you get the impression when you were talking to Buzz, by the way, he's so full of ideas. Oh, there we go. Thanks. it's like 5 brilliant minds all competing for one mouth.
Yeah.
He's got so much to say.
Yeah.
And he is so oriented towards STEM and working with China. He's just an incredibly progressive guy. And he's a real treasure.
Is he still, like I said, this was years ago. He's still pretty sharp and with it. And
he is. And he's actually, I think he's got an auction coming up. He has possession of the switch in the lunar module on Apollo 11 that broke off. It was the arming switch for the Ascent engine.
He put it in his pocket?
And they broke it when they were leaving the lunar module. When they got back,
I remember that,
They thought, how are we going to get back? And NASA was freaking out a bit and planning all these workarounds, and he took a felt tip pen out of his pocket,
remember that.
jammed it in the breaker, and fixed it for about 39 cents.
All he needed.
So,
all he needed. That's awesome.
That's going up for auction. So keep your eyes peeled.
That would be something.
It'll be a little more than the 16-inch MacBook Pro I want.
I would
whenever
imagine.
It comes out with the M1 chip. But when's that coming out, by the way? Do you have any idea?
one knows. Maybe I would say certainly before the second half of the year. First half, almost certainly. Apple, it's really marketing now. They have all of that stuff. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
And it's really just, I think, being careful not to kibosh all the... Mostly, I think they're worried about annoying all the people who bought Mac Pros. They don't want, They don't want to kill them because this thing. I got the 13-inch MacBook Pro. It's mind-bogglingly faster, and I can only imagine what that 16-inch will be like. And then Mac Pros down the road, they are going to take big leaps forward, and people are just going to. I think when they see this, it's going to change people's perception of desktop computing. It's remarkable. It spoiled me. I have an iMac Pro. I can't use it anymore. I literally can't use it. It's got 64 gigs of RAM. It's got 10 cores. And my little laptop, I can't use the eye. It blows it away. I mean, for some things it doesn't, but you have to really you have to work to find a task that will bog it down. And the day-to-day stuff, like opening a browser and opening a web page, is so much faster, you never want to use anything else again. So, yeah, you should get one when it's available.
Seeing everything on it when you're editing.
It's so nice. 13's hard. So, for me, I don't use the 13 for anything like that. But I have people to do that. I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Oh, that's sensational.
All right. Thank you. Well done. Can't wait to talk again next week. Thank you for letting me do this show every week. I appreciate it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thanks to Professor Laura, our musical director, who continues with her very special assignment to find weird Christmas music for us. Thanks to Kim Schaffer, who's answering the phones and doing such a great job getting you ready for your appearance on national radio. Thanks to all our callers. Most of all, thanks to you for listening. I could not do it without you. Matt's on the line from Kansas City, Kansas. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Leo. I got an issue that I don't really know where the problem is coming from. I've got a Galaxy Note 20 5G phone, and when I'm on the 5G network, I can't go to Georgia.gov. There's no way to turn off 5G.
Wait a minute. All the other websites work?
Yes. And I called, but hold on a second. I called my stepdaughter. I bought her a new iPhone 12.
Yeah.
She wasn't in the area I was in. I asked her to turn off the Wi-Fi and try to go to Georgia.gov.
Yeah.
She gets the same thing.
Oh.
I called an AT&T store. Please pick up a 5G phone. Same thing. If it's on 4G, it works, but 4G LTE, 5GE, and 5G.
That's hysterical.
It will not go to that website.
Let me just try it. Let me just try it on LTE on my iPhone. Actually, it's a 5G iPhone.
But it has to be AT&T network. Well, that's what I'm on.
Yeah, that's T-Mobile. It works fine. Here's my Verizon. I'm just curious if this is it's got to be something that they're doing on that website that's odd and unusual. Let me turn off Wi-Fi on my Galaxy Fold 2.
Here's the thing. If I pull my SIM out of my Note 20 and put it in my Note 10, it works fine.
So the Note 10 works. It's just that particular phone on that particular. And have you found other sites that are not non-functional?
I have found one other site. I don't remember what it was, but it was a .gov site, and I don't know if that's the correlation. But I didn't remember what it was because of what I need to go to.
This is great. I like every once in a while we get a puzzler, a question that makes zero sense. And obviously, computer, yeah, so I've been able to pull it up on everything, even on my Verizon 5G network.
And I've been asking people, if you have AT&T and you have a 5G phone, just try to go to georgia.gov.
Is it possible that Georgia is blocking? How would that work? Because it works on 4G.
Yeah, that's it. So everyone.
Now, here's somebody in the chat room who's on a same phone, an S20. He's on AT&T, and Mike says, "No, it works for me."
Is he on 5GE or 5G?
Is it only on 5G, not 5GE?
Yes, 5G is the one it doesn't work.
Okay.
5G.
Mike, are you getting 5G? He says, yeah, it's 5G. Not 5GE, which is the fake 5G that AT&T promulgates.
But, I'm on 5G right now.
So Mike's in New Jersey, and he's able to get to georgia.gov.
I did it in New Jersey. It doesn't work. I did it. I travel for work.
I think we have a conspiracy here. You should call the president. There's something going on.
I don't think it's...
I think Hugo Chavez is blocking Georgia.gov. No, that doesn't make any sense.
Chattanooga, New Jersey, Palm Beach, Houston, Dallas. These are all the places I've tried it in.
So here's a couple of things you could do. You could try an alternate DNS provider. I suspect this would fix it.
Well, here's one more caveat. I have a VPN. When I turn on the VPN, I can go to the site.
Yes.
And I can't go to links. and here's the other thing I've tried. If I activate my Wi-Fi hotspot on my Note 20 and I pick up my iPad, it won't work.
So here's my theory, and again, it's a theory. This is one of those things where, I don't know, but here's some theories of why that would happen. AT&T, it sounds to me like they're having an issue with resolving that domain, and it's something odd with their network. I bet you they will fix it eventually, but what I would suggest doing is trying a different DNS provider. In other words, not AT&T's DNS provider, but somebody else's DNS provider. And I'll tell you an easy way to do this. And by the way, I happen to think this is a good replacement for AT&T's DNS provider. Next DNS, there are lots of, Cloudflare does this, OpenDNS does this. My current favorite is NextDNS, nextdns.io, and they have an Android app. They also have an iPhone app, but they have an Android app that you can download. It's free, and change your lookup. So you understand how the internet works. Clearly you do. You're sophisticated. The way it works, your phone says, I want to go to georgia.gov. What's the internet address for that? Because that's not the way to get to it. You need a number. And your internet service provider, in this case AT&T, says, well, that number is, and provides that number, and then your browser goes to that number, and all is well. But if the DNS lookup doesn't work or is blocked or something happens there, you're not going to get a usable number, and you're going to get the result you're getting. So I like NextDNS a lot. They'll give you a lot of additional benefits, is what I use at home and on all my mobile devices. Not an advertiser, just a free plug for them. If you use it an awful lot, you may end up paying $20 a year for it. That's what I do, because I use it for everything. It blocks ads, it blocks security threats, lets you control how your kids use it. I put it on my router at home. But you could also use 1.1.1.1. There are lots of replacement DNS providers. I bet you, if you try that, it'll fix it. And if it does, then the answer is it's a misconfiguration on AT&T's part. They screwed it up, and they'll fix it. They will, because that's dopey. There's something wrong. Could have to do with IPv6 versus 4. Could be, because when you're using 5G on a modern phone like that, you're using IPv6 almost always, almost exclusively. So that's I love the question. Thank you. I'm not sure what's going on, but that is, and I'm sure that AT&T will eventually fix it. It's funny that they don't even know. Do they? They have no idea. I don't know. It's not working. What? let's go to, I think I have time for one more. Missoula, Montana. Kevin on the line. Hi, Kevin.
Good afternoon, Leo. I need your help spending some of my money.
Oh, please. I'd love to do it.
Okay, first, home security system. I'm looking for something that's going to fill my needs, something that I like to have the availability to where I can move the cameras around at will, because we're going to be building a home and moving things around, but I like to have something where I'd be able to move them around.
I'm going to recommend our sponsor, Simply Safe, because, A, you can install it yourself. It's peel and stick sensors, which means you can put them anywhere you want. The thing, and they have cameras. The thing about a home security system is the monitoring. If you want professional monitoring, most systems are about $45 a month, and this is not a Simply Safe ad, but they're $15 a month, and they're very convenient. They were created originally by a couple. I think they were at MIT, who were trying to figure out how to do a home security in their rental, because we're not going to be here permanently. We don't drill holes and hang up cameras, and so they came up with this peel and stick technology, and it's really, really good. Really, really good. There are lots of answers to this question, though. If I had more time, I'd ask you more questions. We're running out of time. But, depending on what you're looking for, if you want to have it automatically record locally, if you want to have monitoring, things like that. But the simplest, real home alarm system for something like that is Simply Safe. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. No point in calling it, though, because we're done for the week. Oh, man. Thank you, Lady Laura. Thank you, Kim. Thank you all for joining me. We're going to wrap it up, but stay tuned. I'm sure something wonderful is coming soon on a station near you. If you want to know more, our website is techguylabs.com. Our podcasts all week long are at twit.tv. I am your tech guy, Leo Laporte. Thank you for joining me, and wishing you all a wonderful and happy Geek Week. Take care. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.